What do you know about Mindflayers? Perhaps that they prefer the taste of terrified brains to calm ones, that they begin their life cycle as a squirming tadpole, or that they are so quiet they could be behind you now, waiting to sample your brain next. Of all the creatures in BG3, this brain-eating, mind-controlling parasite is the worst. In the beginning, we are given a forced personal tour of the inside of a nautiloid, a giant flying snail. Unfortunately, this isn't a free holiday cruise. We are trapped inside of an alien pod, awaiting, well, you get the picture. As we sit in our air-conditioned pod, we watch a tall, floating squid plunge its reddened fingers into a pool of brine. Within this pool of brine are, effectively, baby Mindflayers. Once to twice in a Mindflayer's life, they will lay a clutch of eggs from which the tadpoles hatch. These eggs are then kept in an elderbrain tank, we'll get to those bad boys later, where, if they survive the rampant cannibalism and brain-eating antics of this sadistic race, they get a chance to undergo ceremorphosis. What actually is ceremorphosis? Ceremorphosis is a little tadpole's biggest dream. After 10 years of survival next to the pulsating elderbrain, a tadpole is considered mature and put in the big boy tank, like these guys. When a Mindflayer has captured a host, blasted its brain with psionic power, then launched a mature tadpole into its eye, the tadpole buries its way into its new host's brain, devours it, then awaits transformation into a Mindflayer. Smart little parasites, aren't they? But that's not to say ceremorphosis is always this straightforward. There are times when ceremorphosis doesn't work. Let me introduce you to the gnome squidling, one of my favorite discoveries during this research. A gnome squidling is the result of ceremorphosis gone wrong. It is said they retain elements of their gnomish personality and are generally very weak, feeding on small or already dead prey. They float in the air and move around using their tentacles. While the reason for this failed process is unknown, it is speculated to be due to the way the gnomish minds work and their quasi-magical nature. Bonus fact, with a small modification, gnome ceremorphs are viable. I'll leave you with this extremely menacing image. Now, for where they came from. While Mindflayers have been around since the first edition of Dungeons & Dragons, their origins have evolved in further editions numerous times. While some believe they flung themselves back from the far future after the Elderbrains, of course, went too far in their thirst for brain juice, other editions believe them to originate from the far realms as aberrations, a place that even thinking about is dangerous enough. What we do know for sure is that even aboliths, a race of whale-like mammals who remember all happenings since creation, do not recall the Mindflayer's birth. Hence, even aboliths are frightened by this mysterious race. In a nutshell, in the words of Chris Perkins, D&D's game architect and creative director, Mindflayers don't really live in the worlds of D&D. They are more invaders of the worlds of D&D. What do Mindflayers want? At their core, Illithid are parasites. Their survival depends on consuming at least one intelligent brain per month, although, of course, their doctor recommends bi-weekly meals. But who really determines the colony's motives is, of course, the Elderbrain. At the heart of every Mindflayer colony lies its most terrifying and revered figure, the Elderbrain. Titanic, pulsating masses of neurons, and leader of the colony's collective consciousness. Elderbrains are made from the minds of deceased Illithid. They are chillingly smart, ruthless, and manipulative, existing only to dominate and grow their empire through frightening precision. It is cared for by thralls, slaves, and other Mindflayers, fed deceased Mindflayer brains to grow its psychic power and abhorrent knowledge, as well as tadpoles, though these are considered less nutrient or knowledge-dense, sort of like a chum. Every Mindflayer exists to serve their will, and for them, merging with the Elderbrain after death is considered the ultimate honor. Its powerful psionic reach can manipulate thoughts, overwhelm intruders with psychic force, and coordinate its colony with chilling precision. And if that doesn't send a shiver down your spine, perhaps this will. The Elder Brain doesn't just plan your demise on sight. It listens to your every thought before you've even begun to act. Imagine that. Where will you find them now? Most of the time, excluding their current invasion in Baldur's Gate 3, you'll find Mindflayers skulking about in colonies of 200 to 2,000, led by an Elder Brain of mass psionic control, creating a hive mind of evil geniuses. They hate the sun, finding it both physically and mentally disturbing, and unlike Edward, do not sparkle. Thus are drawn to damp, dark, subterranean environments like the Underdark. After all, they have to keep their stylized tentacles moisturized somehow. How are Mindflayers linked to the Githyanki? If you have ever met Lae'zel or been in her vicinity for more than 5 minutes, you'll know that the Githyanki's hatred for the Illithid runs deep, and rightly so. When Mindflayers run low on thralls or brains, they need to do a food shop like the rest of us. Unfortunately, the local space supermarkets do not stock intelligent brains in mass supply. This just in, giant galactic snail ship coming to raid a village near you. And they were very good at it. Entire civilizations were subjugated and destroyed from Mindflayer interference, whether they became slaves, thralls, or used to create more Mindflayers through ceremorphosis. Now, remember when I said, and they were very good at it? Well, that was until they weren't. They picked a fight with the wrong race, and the Githyanki fought back, something they were absolutely not expecting, being blinded by their own hubris and all. Once enslaved by the Mindflayers, the Gith rebelled in an uprising so fierce it drove their former masters into hiding. So what happened to the Illithid's vast empire? The Illithid's downfall is a story of arrogance and overreach. At their height, they ruled vast galactic empires, subjugating entire civilizations. But their domination was built on fragile foundations, enslaved populations, unending cruelty, and an insatiable hunger for control. The Gith rebellion shattered their empire. Entire colonies were annihilated, Elder Brains were destroyed, and Mindflayers were driven deep underground. Their once mighty Nautiloid fleets now adrift as relics of a fallen dynasty. Today, the Illithid survive only in fragmented colonies, relying on their parasitic ways to endure. Their ambitions, while diminished, remain dangerous as they seek to rebuild and reclaim their former glory. Yet even now, their origin and ultimate fate remain a mystery. Did they truly come from the far realms? Were they punished by their creators? Or is their current state just another step in their twisted evolution? So, my dear listeners, that's the horror and the allure of the Illithid. In Baldur's Gate 3, you're not just fighting them. You're walking a razor's edge between resisting their influence and embracing their power. The question is, will you hold on to your humanity or become the very monster you fear? If you'd like to listen to more lore or mysterious happenings, remember to like, subscribe, and join my cozy chaos. If no one has told you this week, this month, or today, you are so loved, I'm so proud of you, and you can do whatever you set your mind to. Until the next video, bye for now.